and got it, because you don't know as a parent, you know, you're so biased, right? She goes, she got it. I was like, oh.
What if I told you one of rock's most famous marriages didn't end with a fight? Not with betrayal, not even with a goodbye. Richie Sambora found out his marriage was over the same way the world did. Through headlines, no warning, no conversation, no closure. And decades later, he's finally revealing what really happened behind the scenes. For years, Richie stayed silent. No interviews, no breakdowns, nothing. Just quiet. But now, at 66, he's finally speaking out. And what he's saying has people stunned. The headlines scream divorce, but Richie? He claims he didn't hear a thing. February 2006 started like any normal day for him, a guy used to non-stop touring and the wild rhythm of life on the road. But instead of music and crowds, he was hit with pure silence, the kind that feels heavy and wrong. News had already exploded everywhere. Heather Locklear, his wife of more than a decade, had filed for divorce. The shocking part, the world knew, and Richie didn't. Sitting with a BC News radio just hours after it all broke, he said something that matched the chaos in his head. It's completely untrue. There was no huge fight, no emotional talk leading up to it. Nothing that made it make sense. Just a sudden, harsh reality hitting him through headlines he never expected. His phone stayed quiet. His home felt the same. But everything had already changed without a warning. He had just come back from a long, exhausting tour, thinking about Valentine's Day plans they had already talked about. Just weeks earlier, they had celebrated their anniversary, smiling and showing the world everything was solid. Back then, their message was clear. The real story is that there is no story.
She says to me, Dad, I want to be an actress, and I took her to a coach, and I was like, okay, let's see what happens. And
they were used to rumors and gossip, always shutting them down like it was nothing. But this time, denial didn't stand a chance. The truth came crashing in hard. Heather's rep didn't soften it either. Straight to the point. After 11 years of marriage, Heather Locklear has filed for divorce from Richie Sambora.
And so she goes out on her first audition for this Judd Apatow movie, This Is 40, and she gets it.
That one sentence shattered everything Richie thought he knew. The music didn't stop, the fans kept cheering, but inside his whole world was breaking apart. Years later, in a rare moment where he let his guard down, he told a close friend something that hit deep. She took everything. And he wasn't talking about money or stuff. It was deeper than that. He meant the emotional support, the sense of stability, the feeling that no matter how crazy life got, she would always be there. She was his anchor, and suddenly, she was gone. Their story didn't start like this, though. It started like a movie. Paris promises, L.A. lifestyle, everything shining and full of energy. It felt like a real-life fairy tale, glamorous, exciting, and full of passion. They met through a mutual friend, Lisa Christie, a makeup artist who connected their worlds. From that moment, their lives linked up fast, building a love story that looked straight out of Hollywood. Just 7 months into their fast, intense romance, Richie made his move. He got down on one knee, eyes locked in, asking Heather Locklear, the shining star from Melrose Place and Dynasty, to be his wife. And she said yes. Just like that, they dove headfirst into a love that burned bright, matching the spotlight that followed them everywhere. Their marriage didn't start with a huge Hollywood spectacle. It actually began with a quiet courthouse ceremony in New Jersey, low-key and personal, far from cameras and gossip. But that calm moment didn't last long. Days later, they took things to Paris, turning up the romance in a big way. In the City of Lights, surrounded by history and beauty, they exchanged vows again, this time wrapped in pure magic. Paris felt like a dream. Every street, every glow of light added to the moment. Their promises felt bigger there, like something out of a movie. It was all about forever, or at least that's how it felt back then. When they got back to Los Angeles, they settled into Heather's spacious home, a bright and open place that seemed perfect for building a future together. That house quickly filled with life. Laughter, music, and the energy of two people deeply in love echoed through every room. Then, in 1997, everything changed in the best way. Their daughter, Ava Elizabeth, was born. She became the heart of their world, a real symbol of what they had built. Richie later said, "There was never a moment I didn't love her. Not one. That love was real, strong, and impossible to fake." But even with all that happiness, cracks started forming under the surface. Hollywood love can look perfect, but it doesn't always hold up under pressure. Their careers pulled them in opposite directions. Richie was constantly on tour, living out of suitcases, dealing with loud crowds and quiet hotel nights. Heather was locked into long hours on set, surrounded by cameras and non-stop expectations. Their home, once peaceful, started to feel crowded in a different way. Not just with people like assistants and stylists, but with distance. They didn't explode into fights. They just slowly stopped connecting. Conversations turned into schedules. Love got replaced with logistics. And that shift? It hit harder than any argument. That magical Paris energy didn't disappear overnight. It faded bit by bit. Back in Los Angeles, behind those tall walls, things felt colder. The same life they built together started to pull them apart. The connection that once felt unstoppable began slipping away almost quietly, like something they couldn't quite grab onto anymore. Still, one thing never changed: Richie's love for Heather. Through all the rumors, the headlines, and the pressure from the outside world, he never turned against her. No public blame, no messy call-outs. He stayed quiet, watching everything fall apart while holding on to what he felt inside. Years later, when he finally spoke about her, his tone said everything. It wasn't anger, it was real, lasting emotion. "I still love Heather," he told People magazine, keeping it honest and simple. "She's the mother of my child, man." That feeling, it never fully went away. What can you really say in a simple line like that? A lot more than it seems. Behind those words sits a deep truth, a love that didn't disappear even after the pain, the breakup, and all the loud headlines trying to pull them apart. Heather wasn't just part of his life. She was his anchor from the start. Their bond wasn't just about fame or being seen together. It went deeper than the spotlight, deeper than the image people saw. Heather had that sharp mind, quick humor, and strong independence people admired. But there was another side she kept hidden, a softer, more fragile side she didn't show often. And in those rare, quiet moments when she let her guard down, that's when Richie felt closest to her. That's what pulled him in completely. He didn't just love the celebrity. He loved the woman who understood him in a way no one else could. But reality started creeping in, and it wasn't pretty. Their lives were built on unstable ground from the beginning. Richie was the full-on rock star, always moving, always performing, living in chaos. Heather was deep in Hollywood, carrying the pressure of staying on top in a world that never slows down. Two powerful lives, but moving in totally different directions. Their schedules barely lined up. Days turned into long stretches apart, and nights felt even longer. Sometimes all they had were quick phone calls just to check in. Meanwhile, rumors kept getting louder, filling the silence they should have been using to talk things out. And right in the middle of it all was their daughter, Ava, a quiet, emotional link between them as things slowly started to fall apart. Richie wasn't the person tabloids tried to paint him as. He wasn't reckless or out there betraying her like the stories claimed. But in the ways that really mattered, he struggled. Emotionally, mentally, he wasn't always present. Fame, pressure, responsibility, it all piled up. He loved his family, no question, but showing up consistently became harder than it should have been. His heart was in it, but his time wasn't. His schedule was overloaded, and behind the scenes he was dealing with personal struggles he didn't openly talk about. The dreams they once shared, they didn't explode, they slowly faded. Bit by bit, those shared goals turned into separate paths. The spark they had in the beginning started dimming under stress, exhaustion, and missed chances to reconnect. So when Heather filed for divorce and listed irreconcilable differences, it sounded simple, but it wasn't. That phrase hid everything they had been going through. Looking back, Richie kept it honest in his own way. Loving her was never the issue. It was everything around them that made it fall apart. Through all the chaos, one thing never changed: Ava. She became the one steady piece in his world. Born into fame and constant attention, she gave Richie something real to hold on to when everything else felt unstable. She wasn't part of the noise. She was the truth in the middle of it. Richie didn't grow up with a perfect example of what being a father looked like. His past was complicated, and nothing about the rock lifestyle prepares you for raising a child. But when Ava came into his life, something shifted instantly. It wasn't small, it was a complete change. He slowed down, he softened. The same guy who lived in tour buses, backstage rooms, and luxury hotels started finding real meaning in simple moments. Dance recitals, bedtime stories, just being there. It all started to matter more than the spotlight ever did. I would die for her. Richie said it straight, no hesitation, no doubt. Those weren't empty words or something said for attention. They came from a real place. That was him stepping fully into being a father, no filters, no pretending. When Heather pushed for full physical custody during the divorce, Richie didn't turn it into a loud public fight. No dramatic court scenes, no media chaos coming from him. But behind the scenes, he stood his ground. He fought for joint legal custody, not to win some battle, but because he needed to be in Ava's life. Simple as that. In a quiet moment, he admitted to a close friend, she took everything. That line hit heavy. It carried pain, but also acceptance. The marriage, the dreams, the idea of a full family life. It was gone, but not everything. Ava was still there. She became the connection that couldn't be broken, the one thing that kept them linked no matter what happened. And Richie held onto that with everything he had. After the divorce, he made a move that said more than words. He bought a home just minutes away from Heather. Not some huge mansion far removed from reality, but close enough to stay present. Close enough to matter. School runs, weekends, small everyday moments. He made sure he was part of it all. He showed up to school events, stood beside Ava at public appearances, and stayed consistent even when his own life felt unstable. Fatherhood wasn't just something he talked about. It became the center of his world. The man who once felt lost started rebuilding himself through those quiet, daily moments. It wasn't flashy, it wasn't loud, but it was real. Bit by bit, through effort and love, he started putting his life back together. Ava wasn't just his daughter, she became his purpose. But just as things were trying to settle, everything exploded again. Only weeks after the divorce filing, the spotlight shifted hard, from heartbreak to straight-up scandal. Richie Sambora was suddenly dragged into a messy situation nobody expected, and his name was everywhere alongside Denise Richards, someone who had once been close to Heather. This wasn't small gossip anymore. It turned into a full Hollywood drama playing out in real time. Headlines pushed the story like a betrayal, painting it as a twisted love triangle filled with secrets and backstabbing. The same group that once smiled together on red carpets was now being torn apart in public, piece by piece. The media didn't hold back. Words like betrayal and shock were thrown around nonstop. Heather was framed as the one hurt the most, Denise as the one crossing the line, and Richie, he was stuck in the middle, taking hits from every direction. The narrative got loud, messy, and completely out of control. But behind all that noise was a different reality. Richie wasn't trying to hurt Heather. That was never the goal. He was dealing with confusion, pain, and a situation that spun faster than he could manage. He was trying to process everything, trying to move forward, even while it all felt like it was falling apart again. Still, no matter what he felt or what he intended, the damage had already spread. And once it hit that level, there was no slowing it down. An insider, staying anonymous, later dropped a claim that shook everything up. According to them, Denise Richards allegedly pushed Heather to file for divorce, only to start dating Richie just weeks later. That twist made people look at the whole situation differently. Suddenly, it wasn't just messy, it felt calculated, like there might have been a hidden plan behind it all. The public didn't hold back for a second. Judgment came fast and harsh. Heather Locklear was seen as the clear victim, a woman blindsided by people she trusted. Denise? She got painted as the villain, the one who crossed the line and broke what was already fragile. And Richie? He landed right in the middle, viewed as the guy who stayed too quiet, moved too late, and watched everything fall apart around him. But if you hear Richie talk about it now, there's no excuses, just honesty. I made choices I shouldn't have. I was trying to fill a void with the wrong things. That kind of admission hits different. You can hear the regret in it. He wasn't trying to erase Heather or replace what they had, but in chasing comfort, he didn't fully think about the damage it could cause. The truth is, real human mistakes are complicated, but that part got lost in all the noise. The headlines only told the loudest version of the story, not the full one. Everything deeper, feelings, confusion, regret, got buried under the drama people couldn't stop talking about. As time passed, the chaos slowly faded. The scandal cooled off, and life kept moving. Ava grew up, becoming her own person, far from the storm that once surrounded her family. Richie leaned back into music, focusing on what he knew best, while Heather stayed mostly out of sight, keeping her distance from the spotlight. But just when things seemed quieter, everything came rushing back in 2018, and this time, it was serious. The headlines returned, but not with gossip. This time it was about real struggles. Reports came out about arrests, hospital stays, and even an overdose scare. There was an emergency call from her home, and authorities responded to what was described as a suicidal situation. This wasn't Hollywood drama anymore. This was real life hitting hard. The glamorous image people once saw was gone, replaced by something much more real and painful. It showed a side of Heather that the public wasn't used to seeing, one filled with vulnerability and struggle. And through all of that, Richie didn't disappear. He didn't jump into interviews or try to control the story. No press tours, no attention-seeking moments. He stayed quiet, but his actions spoke loud. In one moment that people still talk about, Richie flew a fighter jet over Heather's house with her initials on it, a wild, unexpected gesture that still carried a clear message of support. It wasn't about showing off. It was about being there in a way only he could. Behind the scenes, he did even more. He helped bring together medical professionals, doctors, specialists, people who could actually help. He didn't act like a bitter ex. He showed up as someone who still cared, and as a father who wanted stability for his daughter. "I will, of course, always be there for Heather, and especially Ava," he said. And this time, it wasn't just words. You could feel the meaning behind it. "I am proud of my daughter for her strength during this time." Richie said it with real emotion, and it showed. The truth is, he didn't owe Heather anything anymore. Not legally, not publicly. Their marriage was long over, the divorce finalized years back. But he still chose to stay connected. Why? Because Heather wasn't just an ex. She was the mother of his child, someone who had once meant everything to him. And when she couldn't stand strong on her own, he stepped in and helped carry the weight. That kind of loyalty didn't just appear out of nowhere. Years earlier, Richie had already made a huge life decision that shocked fans everywhere. In 2013, at the peak of Bon Jovi's success, he walked away from the band. No big blow-up, no dramatic exit, just a hard choice made for personal reasons. It wasn't about anger, it was about family. Ava needed him, and everything happening around Heather, plus his own struggles after the divorce, made it clear. He couldn't keep living on the road like that. In the 2024 Hulu documentary, Thank You, Good Night, Richie opened up about that time, and it hit deep. I didn't feel supported, he admitted. I didn't receive a lot of compassion. He was drained, overwhelmed, and dealing with more than people realized. Between family issues and the pressure of being a father, something had to give. So he stepped away from the non-stop touring life. He even admitted he felt bad about how sudden it was, apologizing to fans and his bandmates, but he didn't back down from the reason. Family came first, no matter what. And for Richie, that choice changed everything. Suddenly it wasn't about stadiums or sold-out shows. It was about being there. Dance recitals, Halloween nights, simple bedtime routines. Those became the moments that mattered most. He wasn't disappearing. He was finally showing up where it counted. Still, not everyone saw it that way. Public opinion didn't always match reality, and people made their own assumptions about his choices. But Richie stayed focused. He knew what he was doing and why he was doing it. Then came 2018, when Heather's struggles became impossible to ignore. The headlines got intense, the situation got serious, and once again all eyes were on them. But this time, Richie made a different move. He stayed silent. No interviews, no statements, no public defense, just silence. And to some people that looked wrong. They thought he didn't care or that he was avoiding the situation. But that wasn't it at all. For Richie, that silence had a purpose. It was about protecting her. There's a difference between defending yourself and hurting someone else, he later explained. And that line says everything. He didn't want to add more pressure to someone already struggling. I chose silence because I didn't want to add to her pain, he said, and you could feel the weight behind it. That wasn't weakness. It was a decision, a sacrifice. He took the hit, let people talk, and carried that burden instead of making things worse. None of it was true, but once a story sticks, it sticks hard. The public had already made up its mind, and that version of Richie took on a life of its own. Still, he didn't fight back. He stayed quiet, for Ava, for Heather, and for the history they once shared. That silence. It changed him in ways people didn't expect. He didn't turn into the cold figure the media painted. Instead, he became more thoughtful, more patient. He started to understand something deeper. Love doesn't always need to be loud to be real. Sometimes the strongest kind of love is the quiet kind, the kind nobody sees or hears. Hollywood might look shiny on the outside, but behind it, it's intense, demanding, and sometimes damaging. The same spotlight that shows success can hide serious struggles. Heather Locklear's story is a clear example of that contrast. People saw the beauty, the fame, the success, but not the battles she was dealing with behind closed doors. Richie saw it, though. He witnessed the shifts others missed, the sudden mood changes, the moments where everything felt off. One minute things felt light, the next, heavy and uncertain. He noticed the fear she tried to hide, especially in the quiet moments when everything slowed down. When the cameras were gone and the noise faded, what was left wasn't glamorous. It was confusion, pain, and isolation. Addiction is merciless, Richie admitted, and you can feel how serious he is when he says it. And mental health struggles, even heavier. For all his talent and success, Richie wasn't prepared for that kind of situation. He didn't have the tools or the answers. He wasn't a therapist. He was a partner trying to keep things together while watching someone he loved struggle more each day. "She was hurting," he said simply. And that line carries a lot. You can hear the regret in it, the feeling that maybe he could have done more. Those quiet regrets, they stay with you. Fame doesn't make things easier. It makes everything louder and heavier. The pressure, the expectations, the need to always appear perfect, it builds up. And for Heather, it wasn't one sudden moment. It was gradual. A slow breakdown hidden behind smiles, makeup, and polished interviews. At the same time, Richie was caught in his own fast-moving world, touring, performing, dealing with his own struggles. By the time he fully saw how serious things had become, it was already too far gone. The person he loved was fading, little by little, and there wasn't a clear way to stop it. For years, Richie avoided talking about how it all ended. The divorce, the confusion, the unanswered questions. It stayed buried under headlines and speculation. But now, at 66, he's finally opening up, and there's a calm honesty in how he says it. "I didn't leave Heather, she left me, and I didn't understand why." That line hits hard. You can feel how long he's carried that without saying it out loud. The night everything changed, Richie wasn't even home. He was out on tour, caught up in the non-stop demands of his career. There was no argument, no final fight, nothing that gave him closure. Then suddenly he gets the call. Not from Heather, but from a publicist. Just like that, everything flipped. It wasn't just news, it felt like his whole world shifted in an instant. Looking back now, Richie keeps it real about what went wrong. "We both stopped showing up in the ways that matter. We were together in name, but separate in spirit." That line says everything. No blame games, no pointing fingers. He doesn't paint Heather as the bad person in the story. Instead, he sees someone who was struggling deeply, someone trying to stay afloat when everything felt like it was crashing down. To him, the divorce wasn't about betrayal. It was about survival. He believes she was drowning, and walking away was her way of trying to breathe again. And in a moment of raw honesty, he even admits maybe he was part of what she needed to let go of. That kind of truth, it hits hard. This story isn't just about a breakup. It's about love under pressure, fame, and everything that comes with it. The parts people don't always see. If you made it this far, hit that like button, drop a comment with your thoughts, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this. See you in the next video.